Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy, especially issues that involve coming up to the table. I want to first of all, by the way, say huge mega ditto to our great friend of the community, Jessica Dale. She told me, "Hey, Aaron, have you ever heard of a podcast called Blind Table Talk? You should talk to them." I said, "Not really. But if you share me, what they do, I'd love to talk to them." So now here they are, blind table talk. Sayyida and Joseph are right here in the studio. Basically, they came up to my table, and I basically have a question. Now, either one of you can start. I don't care who. But first of all, I need to know, who are you as people? Tell me about your lives. Who are you really as people? And how has your life experience so far led you up and motivated you and pushed you over the edge to create Blind Table Talk? So I'm going to mute my microphone, and either one of you can walk into the story. I'll interject when I need to. Go right ahead. Let's go.
All right. I think I'll go first. First, I want to say thank you so much, Aaron, for having us on your podcast. It's a great opportunity for us, and we appreciate that. So thank you. And so I am Sayyida Victoria. I am one of the hosts of Blind Table Talk podcast. I am totally blind. I have been blind for 20 years. I went blind all of a sudden. So I was a sighted person and living life like normal day to day. And then boom, I went blind. So, it was definitely a life shocker, devastating moments. I thought my life was over. And, I don't need to tell, many that have shared that same experience, the thoughts and things that were going through my head at that time, but it was, very devastating for me. I have a disease called neuromyelitis optica, which is very rare. People probably don't know what it is and have never heard of it before, but it's basically a disease that affects the nerves, the blood cells that attack the nerves, and my optic nerves were attacked, and those are one of the only nerves in the body that cannot be repaired. So, voila, I am now totally blind. In the beginning, I was very woe is me, and one day just woke up, and one of my children came and asked me to feed them because they were hungry, and I had been in my room for about 6 months and just didn't want to come out, and just ending everything like slowly but surely. And I just woke up and said, you know what? I cannot do this. I have got to live. I cannot just let my kids starve. I can do this. So that was the pivotal moment in my acceptance of the blindness. And, I decided to take my life back. And so I'm a mother of 5. I'm sorry, at that time I was a mother of 4. And, I began on my own to kind of rehabilitate myself in my home, and just day-to-day living, and then realized that there were resources out there for blind and visually impaired. And so I tapped in with our local, at this time I was in San Diego. And so I reached out to the Center for the Blind there and realized there was a whole lot of things that were out here for us. So just without, making a long story short, I jumped back on the horse. I ended up going back to school. I obtained, actually 2 degrees, an associate's and a bachelor's degree. I went back to work, started my own business, went back to work again, and just, got the skills that I needed, technology, O&M, all of those things that are very pivotal in our lives as blind and visually impaired people. So, at one point I started a, nonprofit organization called Blind Professionals Network, which is still around today. And that has been successful. And then with COVID, when COVID hit, it came a time where a lot of us were in the house and not much was going on. And so we, then decided to, join Clubhouse. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but Clubhouse is it's an audio app. And so that's where Blind Table Talk started. And it was just a place for us as blind and visually impaired to come together and connect on a relatable platform, just share experiences and stories and, talk about things that affect us in our lives that only we can relate to. And so we did that for almost a year. It was just clubhouse rooms. And then, um, you know, Joseph said, we should make this a podcast. And so from there, we said, you're right. Let's do this. And so we did the podcast. And it has evolved in itself over the years. And we've been around for 3 years now, almost 4. And it started with just, basic things, but has now turned into more interviews, bringing other people to the table so that we can share resources, connecting and empowering blind and visually impaired. So with that and those ideas in mind and just wanting to be impactful for our community, there's so much more than just a podcast. We have our website where we share resources. It's a resource list there, and we want people to be able to have one place to go and find a whole lot of things that are out there for us, and things of that nature. So that is pretty much BTT in a nutshell, from my point of view. And I'm sure Joseph is going to share his point, but I will run on and on and on. So Joseph, stop me,
No
Joseph.
worries, no worries. Alrighty. From my side, I would like to say, Aaron, once again, really appreciate you bringing us on and allowing us to be on your platform and just being able to share our testimony experience with your listeners. Hello, listeners. My name is Joseph Fleeks. They also know me as Joe Fleeks on Blind Table Talk or Blind Security of the Community. For myself, I've been in this blind community going on about 21 years now. I was normal. It happened to me at the age of 16. I was into all sports. I have been playing sports since the age of 5. Basketball, track, soccer, martial arts, boxing. I was pretty much your typical jock, with a good education. I was involved in a lot of things, at the youth, as such as my sports curricular activities. I've also did a lot of drill teams. I was a junior lieutenant for a lot of those drill squads, held a lot of ranks, was able to lead a lot of them. From there, end up, in high school where I was in most of my sports career. When football became my main sport. That was just what I did. All my other sports I played outside of that, but organized, it was football. And I was it was the end of my junior year going into my senior year. Once my incident happened, I actually ended up having a trauma incident, was caught in a drive-by shooting, took a 12 gauge, the buckshot straight to my face, and that would end up damaging my optic nerves. So that's why I no longer have any sight at all, but I have plenty vision. And I'll explain more to that. But that's what ended up happening to me in January of 2006. It was definitely a journey. From being shot in the face, I end up having multiple strokes on the operating table. Once I woke up from surgery, my whole left side was paralyzed. And the way the doctors was making it seem, I wasn't never going to have that motion or that feeling in my left side any longer. The type of young man I am and was then and still is, very stubborn. So when they told me that, I did not believe it. I actually told the doctor, "That's not true, doc, and I'm not accepting what you're telling me." He told me he was going to give me time to really just understand what he had just placed in front of me. It took me 2.5 weeks. And I remember this like just off the back of my skin. The doctor walk in and I tell my mama, "Don't say anything. Just let me have it." And as soon as he walked in and he was like, okay, Mr. Fix, how's it going? I picked up my left arm and waved to him and said, it's going well, Doc. And he was just, I don't know how, what, he didn't know what to say. So from there, I went to rehabilitation hospital. I spent about 4 months in there. So between ICU and the rehabilitation hospitals, I spent about good half a year on recovery from being shot in the face. So I was totally blind, back to mobile, but still had to build my strength and things back up. I went from a full athlete of 6'3", 260 pounds to 6'3", 180. So it was a lot of rebuilding I had to do for my body and also my mental. I didn't realize now what I know now. At the time, I was pushing it off as if I wasn't angry, as if it did not affect me because I was strong and I knew how to keep pushing forward. But I was just only telling myself a lie at the time. I really was affected by what had happened to me. I was very much so angry about losing football scholarships, and a lot of friends, sighted friends, end up going away. So it was definitely different for me at the time. I wasn't no longer viewed as the young man that I thought, everyone viewed me as and that I thought I was. And so had to deal with a lot of the coping with it. And that's how I ended up going to the school for the blind. Went out there for a while, got a lot of my blind skills, ended up actually returning back to public school in Austin, ended up graduating from there and went to college out there for a while, Austin Community, learned a lot of my academic skills, was able to get that up. And then I moved back home to my home city of Houston, where I learned about the blind community here, where I ran into one of my first good friends. It's Cynthia. I love that woman. She showed me that the community in Houston is here and alive and it's possible. You just have to, apply yourself and put yourself out there. And so that's what I did. I was able to meet a lot of people through different organizations, but at the time, I still didn't feel like I belonged with the personality that I had. End up meeting more people, especially the lovely Miss Sayyida Victoria. And that's, COVID, we end up partnership, getting it, making this happen. And like she told you, Blind Table Talk was on Clubhouse. I was one of the male hosts, on there, and we were just, making it happen, just speaking our testimony, our viewpoints, just from our experience so we can enlighten the community and help others. And like she said, I just knew that what we were doing needed to be out there further. And with these days, podcasts and all that is very popular. So I was just like, we're on Clubhouse doing these, rooms and having people come through. Why not? Let's go further and put this on a podcast. And that's what we did. We ended up creating a podcast, been going about 3 years now. It's been a beautiful journey. Been able to learn about so many more organizations and just individuals who are out here wanting to leave an impact for the community and make it better and change the narrative and the stereotype that, how the society view our community. So this has definitely been what Blind Table Talk has been for me, just being able to be a backbone and security and just, bridge the gap and build the awareness, around our society of what we have going on and who we are. We're just people who happen to be blind, but that doesn't, that has nothing to do with who we truly are and what we are capable of. And that's pretty much my story in a nutshell.
And I'm Aaron's Opinion. I support your message. Both of you, a fabulous job. Fabulous intro monologue there. Absolutely. Yeah, you're very right. Ironically, Aaron's Opinion kind of materialized during the pandemic as well. To trace back to something you said about the Clubhouse thing, I remember getting on there, but I never really built up much of a following. I felt that Clubhouse, although hopefully it was successful for you guys, for a lot of people, Clubhouse was sort of a temporary thing. It seemed like it had a big wave during the pandemic, and then it kind of tinkled off, as I would say, and a lot of people kind of seemed to forget it over time. But yeah, I don't use Clubhouse anymore, but I think it had a lot of potential, and I don't think its potential was fully reached. But yeah, I'm not, no, I'm not on that any longer. But I was sitting at home doing some teaching during the pandemic, as I still am now. And I was listening to podcasts around the community for blind people, but I felt that they were not open to my opinions. And so I wanted to create a space where anybody could come up to my microphone, come up to my table, and talk about what's going on. And that's the birth of Aaron's Opinion, right around the spring of 2020, right at the height of the pandemic, the end of my guide dog's life, the end of a lot of things for people was actually the beginning, the renaissance of what would become Aaron's Opinion. The show has been through many versions over the years, but we've built it up to where it is now today at this moment with a YouTube and many other groups that you'll join and learn about. So let's kind of take a sidestep. Let's take a sidestep here. As far as your podcast goes, how would you say that would you structure your episodes? So if somebody listens to Blind Table Talk, I've noticed that there's a lot of structure to your episodes. So how do you structure your episodes? And I think one of you's muted here somehow, which should not have happened. So let's just take care of this here. Okay. Okay, there you go. So do either one of you want to talk more about how you structure an episode of BTT? What can somebody expect on that?
So,
It-
it's actually funny. Awesome. Okay.
yes. So,
It's
No
been a team
problem.
effort thing.
No
Definitely
worries.
has
yes.
been a
So
team effort
Joseph,
thing.
you'll start, and then Sayyida, you can respond with more information. Maybe anything he forgets, you can fill him in. Okay, so go ahead. So how have you chosen to structure your episodes? Because every podcast is different. Go right ahead.
It definitely is. And it's funny that we actually bring this up because even Saida and we still have kind of a different idea on how to structure. So the structure of our podcast definitely is a compromise where we both agree to okay, this fits both of our ideas the best. It flows very easily. I'm more of a for lack of word, raw kind of just let flow, right there. And my lovely host over there, she is all about the professional and hey, showing that we are, we do our job and we're passionate about it and we take this well. And this is why it has the neatness that it has and the structure that it does. And I agree with that. And so, that's how we've come up with our intro, the way the intro go out, and we actually, okay, I'm going to take the intro this week. All right, we flip off, you take it next week. And that's how we come. Saida has been the sole idea of those segments though, cause when she came out, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to have the segment here. We're going to do the segment like that. I just sat back, was like, yeah, yep, right on with that one. This wonderful segment with the topic. So, we have the BVI discussion and then we go into our interview and end it off with our BVI relationship talk. And sometimes we'll have our PSA, which is the public service announcements where we give out either our cash prize or drawings or, either something as far as what's going on in the community as far as different events or, just things of that sort. So the layout has definitely, in my opinion, has been somewhat of a teamwork together. We talk about it, we discuss it, and we just, listen to it and see what best fit and flow in that order. What would you like to add to that, Saida?
Well, I have to add a lot because here's the thing. And this is, trial and I don't want to say error because it's not that it didn't work, but for me, Aaron, I am such a organization, forms, format, checklist type of person, right? And so that is how I structured the podcast initially. It was more, okay, segment 1 is this. This is what we're going to talk about. And then I even went so far as to, okay, let me write down what is it that you want to talk about under this topic. I mean, I had a whole outline.
Yeah.
And Joseph would be like, I know, and he did it,
Eventually.
No, in the beginning, we just followed the format, right?
Yeah.
We followed the list. I would send you the show format, and it was this segment here, this, we're talking about this. And so, but recently, and Joseph's been trying to say this for so long, but and I was saying no, because we have to have structure. We have to have an outline. We have to have it. And so I would take, days prior to the recordings to come up with the show outline. But recently we tried this just because I was not prepared with an outline. And and Joseph said, you know what? We know what the topic is. Why don't we just talk about it? Just say what comes out and what's flowing. As he says, just raw. Let's just give the real us and talk about the real things that are on our mind in that moment, not necessarily the scripted type of, even though it wasn't scripted, but we had the main key points written down already. And when we did that, it was, I don't know. We went back, and which is what we both hate to do. We hate going back to listen to our shows, by the way, because we do nothing but sit there and critique the whole thing. Like, oh my God, I sounded crazy. And
yes,
why didn't he take out that, and I'm just like, we're always critiquing, but I think for our growth and to improve our podcast, we had to take a listen and see, you know what, let's see what we're doing here. And also listening to others, other podcasts to see what's being done and to learn from others, because we're new at this. Podcasts have been around for many years, and we're just hitting, almost 4 years. That's new fairly. And so we did that. So we said, okay, we're just going to have our intro. We're going to give our promos, our stuff out. Then we usually just talk about our weeks, and then we have our BBI discussion. And now we just say the topic and we talk about what's coming from our heart in that moment. There is no prepared, no list that's going to tell us or remind us what to talk about. If it comes out, it comes out. If we forget, it must have not been meant to be on this podcast. So we do that. And then that is just Joseph and I typically just kind of, just flowing with whatever comes out. Now, our interviews are a little bit different. It's a little, we do have, and I still, because I am very, with my forms and all that stuff.
Which is a beautiful thing. Have fun.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Love those forms.
So, my forms, I just want to keep some form of professionalism with our podcast, because, even though we are, just talking and coming from the heart, this is still a thought out thing. It's not something we playing with and just trying to do. We are really trying to, show that this is important to us. And so I want to make sure that shows in what we put out. Now, the compromise for that is, that was the format. The compromise is our YouTube that we have just recently started. So we have a YouTube channel, and those are where we do what we call Blind Table Talk Uncuts. So this is just recordings, Zoom rooms, tables. I've got a book club on there that we do, and that's more, don't mess up, because if you mess up, it's going to stay on there. We're not editing these, nothing. And it's more comfortable. Let's just sit in the living room type of thing, and, or sit at the table in the dining room, wherever, and just come and say whatever it is you want to say. And so that was my compromise, because Joseph's like, well, I really would just like to just say whatever I want to say when I want to say it. Okay, well, that's great. And that's what our YouTube channel is. It's more where Joseph can be the raw person at all times and not have to worry about cleaning it up for me, because I want to have or me too, because there's sometimes when I might want to
And we get passionate about our topics, and
Yes,
we speak
right.
on them like with the compassion. And sometimes
Yes,
you just have to have that. You just got to put
yes,
it out there in your truth and
yes,
your real feelings.
yes, right. So yeah, so that's our structure. And I'm sorry, Aaron, I hope that is answering the question because we're, kind of did say a lot, but, that's, pretty much the structures is our segments and then our interviews and then
Yeah.
our YouTube channel is
And then we
definitely,
add the clips to entice you and, all
yes,
that good jazz.
right.
All right. Yeah, you absolutely answered the question and answered it perfectly. That's exactly what I asked. Yeah.
Good.
So, okay. So I'm more of the raw, uncut, unedited type of
Hmm.
guy.
My man.
There you go. So you know that you aren't getting off the hook about this. So tell me, each of you, I want each of you, and let's see, we're going to start. We're going to go this question. We're going to go ladies first. So
Hmm.
what are three distinctive or three important issues that you have observed around our blindness world, whether it's podcasting in real life in society, that you want my audience from all over the world, and we're blessed here at Aaron's Opinion with people on all the continents. So what are some critical topics some big three issues for you that
Hmm.
you are really maybe bothering you or interesting you or entertaining you? What are three things that you really want the world to know, that you really want to get off your chest? We'll go ladies first. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So, I think my first thing, and this is really strong right now in the community and it affects a lot of us and it's affected us, um, too much, but it's the Uber issues
Oh,
that we have with
yes.
Uber drivers and, even with the guide dogs. Joseph used to have a guide dog and we have been discriminated on. I have had, people, once they find out I was blind, they drive off and cancel the trip. I just, the discrimination that we face as, not disabilities, period. I'm sure that they all do. I'm sure a wheelchair person is probably going to, or a person in a wheelchair, excuse me, that
Yes,
is
I don't
probably
say.
going to have, a problem with them, but they have their own struggles. We have ours. And that is one thing that just bothers the mess out of me. And I am so glad I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen so many people that are standing up, for the rights that we have as Uber passengers. And I think that's one of them. So that the second issue that I have, and I guess, Aaron, reason why I'm picking these, but I think it's because it's what I've experienced so much in the past recent
Sure.
months.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So my next one is I'm traveling, airline travel, airport transportation, all of things, that pertain to traveling as a blind woman. And I say woman because I don't even know that men deal with the same issues. I'm sure they do to some
I'll tell
level,
you, we'll
but
talk about it, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
I've
um,
had some pretty sketchy experiences.
right.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
I just feel like, one, that we should be, I know that the accessibility in the airport or, it's difficult for us to do things, on our own completely. And for those that say, well, hey, we can use IRA, that is definitely not an option. And I will tell you why. For me, half the time, no, I'm sorry, 90% of the time, my Wi-Fi does not work in airports very well. So cameras and videos do not work when I am walking. So I can be using IRA and walking and it will lose signal. And now I'm stuck there in the middle of nowhere. But, I just think that airlines, need to treat us not only with, some respect, but, in the form of not talking to me like I'm a child, and knowing that I am capable. I had a gentleman, in the airport tell the person that was pushing me, well, you need to, who's gonna come watch them? Who's coming for them? Because I don't have time to be responsible for them. And I was just and I said, I am a grown woman. I do not need you to be responsible for me. And so he just couldn't understand, well, oh no, I didn't mean it like that. But the way he made me feel when he said that, it was just so appalling. So we get treated so, I don't know, unfairly when it comes to that. And I have been left at a gate, missed a flight, had to take get a hotel. Um, and I was sitting there for 5 hours waiting. There are so many things with that we need to attack. And the other thing I do want to say about that is if we do not speak up about these incidents that happen, how is it ever going to change? And I say that because I still have not reported this horrible experience that I have had. And I don't know why. Maybe it's time, but I feel I am part of the reason why the things are not getting fixed because I am not speaking up to tell the issues that we have with these airports and airlines. So that's number 2. All right. And then the last one I would have to say, it's within our community itself, Aaron. I hate to say this. I love our BVI community. I am so passionate. I've dedicated a lot of my life to supporting and helping those in our community. But a lot of us as blind or visually impaired, we have a lot of complaints. Oh, well, I can't get a job. Oh, well, I can't do this. Oh, well, this person did this and didn't do this and there's discriminating. But my problem with our community is that there are injustices out there, but what are you doing to make sure that these injustices don't occur to you? As far as employment. Oh, well, I can't get a job. So, but you went and applied for a job and you do not have the skills that are needed to get that job. Why? So of course you're not going to get the job. We need to equip ourselves with the tools that are needed so that we can be a part of society equally as we are demanding. We can't sit there and want equality, but yet we sit there and do things half done on our end. We have to commit to the cause and make sure that we are not just barking, and we are doing something about what the problems are out there. And so, complaining and griping and fussing and just crying about a bunch of stuff, if you're doing that with no actions to, enhance what you are trying to do, it's just useless. Nobody wants to hear all the negativity. Switch that around, turn that negativity into some positivity by just equipping yourself with the tools, O&M skills, all of that stuff. People that are sitting in the house not doing nothing and thinking their lives are over because they do not want to reach out and get those resources that are out there for them. And I do know that everybody comes to their own terms, acceptance of what is going on with the vision in different times. And, and that's okay. But when you do, please just, do it and get those resources that are out there. And that's the 3. And I'm done.
Joseph?
Oh, yeah.
Hush, Joseph. See, I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna do that too.
You
You
should have
took
let him go
everything
first.
that I'm the passionate one about, and everything that
My hope
oh
in
man,
staging this beautiful dialogue, my hope would be that you, Joseph, have 3 different things.
I know,
I
right?
know.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
my
I figured
assumption.
that was your hope.
So this is
I'm
the
gonna
part
try.
where if you don't know what to say, this is the part where you make something up. This happens in podcasting. It's a podcast trick. If you don't know the answer, just make it up. Okay, go.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I got real beef with our community. So,
Well, I love the beef.
yeah,
I eat beef.
we about to
I
get
eat beef
with it.
almost
We
every
about
day.
to
Give
get
me
with
the
it.
beef.
It's almost gonna be similar in a way, but
Put it on the table, man.
You
Put it on the
about to
table.
watch how
Let's
it
go.
works.
Give me the
So
beef.
here we go.
Okay, go.
Community. I love y'all so much. So for real. Love y'all to the truth. However, one of my main issues with our community is we walk around, we holler about these organizations, agencies, our state agencies, our cities, anything like that. Oh, they're taking too long. Oh, they're not doing this for me. Oh, I can't get them to answer the phone. Oh, I can't get anyone to help me look over this. Alrighty. Well, for instance, today we've had a whole little event go on in our city. Majority of the community that I know did not show up to this event to help better themselves. And this is the type of things that I'm talking about. We sit here and complain that, oh, we can't get this done and we're not getting any help from them, or them. But when we have the resources that are actually trying to put something in front of us and help us benefit and help us develop in a certain way to help, get the community to a different level, no one wants to show up or participate. It's like it's too serious. It's not enough joking, and that's saddening because I've only been, like I said, it's going on 21 years now, and still to this moment, I have not seen the unemployment number change at all. It hasn't went down. It hasn't went up, and that's so sad to say. Like how of my 20 years of being in the community, there's not a lick of change, not a piece of it. And that stems, in my opinion, that comes from how we operate and how we handle things. We don't show up when we need to. We don't participate how we think that we are participating. Going to a conference once a year and thinking that, oh, this is my participation in the community, I'm doing something, that's not really doing enough. It's not helping. It's only like just minimizing it. It's not fully doing anything, and we need more. So that's number one. Number two, I've come from the side of the community, so I get it. But however, my peoples, when did we look to a child to protect a parent or an adult? And this is why and I bring this up, I'm using an example. I was in a local store with one of my kids that I, and so the cash register person, instead of talking to me, who is the adult, who has this money here, who's doing the transaction, she goes and say, oh, you're doing such a good job. You need to make sure that you protect your father out here and get him safely. And I'm just like, ma'am, the part, like, I understand, you can't grasp how we're maneuvering and our dynamics of this, but you don't put that type of responsibility on a child to make sure that a parent is moving safely, or the job of the parent is to make sure that that child is safe and comfortable. And we as blind individuals are fully, and I say once again, we are fully capable of making sure that our children are safe, mindful, and are getting what they need. So for the society to really look at us as if, we're lactan, that because we can't see them, it must, oh, parenting is difficult for anybody. Doesn't matter if you have a disability. Parenting is parenting. It's an unpredictable thing. It's all with personality. Experiencing and life is going to happen to make all of that somewhat difficult in the ways, but you have to know yourself and know how to go about it. And that's the same thing for us in our community as blind parents. We know how to go about it. We've been living this. We are capable of taking care of our children. We're capable of walking around the store and making sure they're okay. We know how to hold their hand. It's not hard. It's a touching thing. So, that view of the way they kind of really view us as parents on that really, like, it heats me up. And I just don't understand why in the way. And then number three, when I'm moving around in my community and I'm using my city transportation, the bus drivers, they should not have a right to say, sir, why you don't have a caretaker with you? Sir, when was that ever a book that said you needed to have someone with you to ride on a city transportation. You didn't have to tell me to step up on this bus and put my card right here, sir. I was able to find the coin insert and I was able to put my money in and I was able to locate where I needed to be. But because you wasn't able to grasp how I'm doing this without the sense that you have, now I must have someone with me. And that's a no-no. You know, I understand that there is some people out here that kind of do need some help. But long as have that ability, you have that capability and you're willing, you don't have to be stuck in that type of stereotype where you need somebody to walk around with you because you're visually impaired or you're totally blind. You need a caretaker to actually, supervise with you on a city bus to get you to a location. We have so many different apps out here as far as Irie Explorer, navigational apps. You can even use the walking direction on maps. There's different ways of just getting on the bus, moving around the bus, finding the bus stop. There's different transit apps. So we don't necessarily need someone over us just at our beck and call to make sure that we're supposed to be able to do what we need to do. So, those are my three views. That's, trying to do it differently from my lovely host over there. But in a similar way, those what really gets me going on that.
I'm going to break down everything both of you said. I loved those 6 points. My favorite point comes from Joseph, and it's this. And this one really spoke to me. Because you know what? I have the humility to admit something to you, Joseph. I'm not famous. I'm not important. I'm not special, but I just simply care, and I love having conversations. And the point that you made, that not one damn thing has changed over the past 30 years. And I was born blind with glaucoma and a congenital heart defect. Peter's anomaly. Better believe it. The fact that not one damn thing has changed, no matter how much complaining and griping and bitching we all need to do as a community, considering all those things considered, considering that nothing has changed, that is the most severe and poignant thing of all. And that really illustrates society's unwillingness to have the courage to accept blind people just as they accept other people, just as they accept black people, white people, Jews, what have you, Christians, any other minority or majority, right? The fact that we have not made any changes really when it comes to the way we treat blind people, that point kind of shined above. I gotta say, and you are so right. You are so right. It's really disturbing because almost everything in the country has changed except for that. The unemployment rate, and you're perfectly right. People always like to say, oh, well, the employment ratios, well, under this administration, they were different. Under Trump, it was this. Under Biden, it was this. You know what? No, not really. The country has been in a state of disarray for the past 25 to 30 years. So don't tell me, and you're right. So don't tell me that, oh, it's better at this moment or that moment. No, it's not. Nothing has changed, and if anything, it's gotten worse. And I just want to highlight that point. Very, very good point. Mm-hmm. All the other things I have experienced in my own life, extreme discrimination in airports. Let's go to the Uber issue. My opinion about the matter is that this will be a perpetual matter. And what I mean by perpetual in this context, listeners at home and you guys at the table, is that what you have to factor in is that some of these Uber and Lyft drivers, and I'm going to use the word some, I didn't say all, okay, so get the keyboards ready for the hate comments. Some of these, and there's someone's going to stage something here. Some of those drivers are born in developing countries, and some of those developing countries are countries where they don't see people with disabilities at all. Mm-hmm. So the greater reality, and it's going to sound like I'm justifying bad behavior. I'm not. I'm explaining from the other side of the pyramid to build up the legal argument from the other side of the story. The other side of the story is, well, you see, our drivers unfortunately don't have the knowledge that you do. And our drivers simply want to have their own car. And they feel that that's their own property, even though that we gave them clearance to use our app to pick people up and drop people off, right?
Mhm.
So that's where I kind of see where socially it's wrong, the way we're treated by Uber and Lyft. It's wrong. Legally, it's very difficult because you can't really force someone. The problem is when you're on an airplane and when you're on a car or on a bus or on a train, you're on a vessel. And it's very hard to ultimately force the matter. You know, an airline pilot is allowed now to remove a passenger, right? So, it's a matter of public transportation. Now we can argue till the cow comes home or whatever that great old expression is. We can argue until tomorrow or millennia happens about if it's truly their car, Uber's car, whose car. Fact is, if a driver doesn't want us, at some level I'm frustrated. But then again, I view that as an unstable driver, and maybe I don't want to get in that car with that stranger. Because when you're on Uber, you're getting into a car, basically, you're getting into a car with a stranger. You're breaking the cultural and the social norms that we were taught as children in the 90s, right? Don't get into a car with a stranger, right? So now we live in this very peculiar society where we've justified that norm of getting into cars with strangers. So if we're going to do that, my opinion is twofold, and I think you'll disagree and agree, which is that we need NFB and you guys and all of us in the successful blind community all over the world. First of all, we need to keep speaking up when we're denied by Uber and Lyft. That's not a question. That's a demand. We need to keep speaking up. We need to keep appropriately documenting these various cases from around the community. And quite frankly, when drivers are not good on the platform, when they give poor service, right? We need to give them 1 star. We need to show the app that, hey, don't pair me with them again. That driver's not good for me. So what I'm really telling you and this is an opinion show, not a fact show. My opinion is that yes, we're right. And the legal answer is yes, they're right. So the answer is we need to manage. We need to manage that storm. We need to figure it out as we go along. Some drivers are never going to take us, and some drivers always will. And the ones that do and do a great job, they deserve 5 stars. But
Yes.
it's not like they're doing anything amazing. It's not,
Mm.
and they don't need to tell us, oh, you're amazing because you got in my car. Well, no, because I'm not going to say you're amazing because you drove the car. I'm going to say,
Yes.
okay,
Right.
have a
Yeah.
good day. Thank you. Have a good night, man. That's all it needs to be. So that's kind of my controversial opinion about Uber is that I understand what I mean philosophically is I understand what our problem is and I understand what the problem is. And when you have
Hmm.
two problems, well, what it comes down to is if you have two bad problems, right? To them, we're a bad problem, and to us, they're a bad problem. Well, if you have two bad things, two bad medicines, right? Well, which one do you want? You got to solve the problem. But the problem, I want this to be stressed. The problem is never going away. Okay. Second one is, yeah, and the airports are the same way. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go into elaborate detail, not because I'm embarrassed by it, but because I simply don't want to I don't want to give credit to a negative situation because that's a subtle social thing. I don't give credit to negative things. I give credit where credit's deserved. But I also had an experience with an airport very similar to yours. I
Hmm.
refused to get into the wheelchairs. And I've asked attorneys, one was on my show and I said, let's call him George. Let me make up a name. I said, George, why on earth? Well, why the hell are there so many wheelchairs in this place? I've never seen so many people in the place. There's practically more wheelchairs than people. And the legal answer is, after talking with an attorney about it, the legal answer is, I don't know why there's so many wheelchairs in airports, but he suspects it has to do with the insurance policy that the airports have to be able to run the airport. He thinks it's something about the insurance policy and
Hmm.
he's not really sure what to do about it. So his advice is you simply have to ignore what you don't like. But again, that problem is not going to change. We have to mitigate. We have to manage the storm. And this is my opinion. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I could be completely wrong. Right? You people could go home and say, God, what an ass. He doesn't understand.
Hmm.
But my opinion is we need to do just as much mitigation as we do advocacy and in some rare cases litigation, right? So you have to pick and choose the battles. My theory is that these airports are not going to change. They have always been very poorly run. It's just now that I'm an adult, I notice. but they were always
Mm-hmm.
this poorly run. They were poorly run before September 11, 2001, and they were poorly run after September 11, 2001, and they are continuing to be poorly run. And my personal opinion is that this is not going to get better. So what we have to do is we can't be bitter. We have to try to make it better, and we have to say, okay, in that situation, here's how I'm going to try to deal with this the very best way I can. But it's not, what I'm saying is we need to stand up for our rights, no question.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
also need to balance it out with the people around us and say, look, there's just certain things that's not going to change. Like that's going to be part of the environment. It's not going to go
Yeah.
away. You know, it's like rain on a sunny day, right? It's not going to stop. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say when we're all faced with these various things, whether it's Uber or crises in airports, report it. Document it, write it down,
Exactly.
send it in, document. Ultimately, what will probably happen is eventually some of these companies will simply get so many complaints that they'll say, okay, enough. We can't take it anymore. We're going to get completely derailed here. If we're running out of paper, we're running out of
Right.
trees until the earth runs out of oxygen for us to breathe because we're killing all the trees with all the paper complaints.
Yeah.
Then they'll fix it. But it's apparently these types of bureaucracies, as I've learned in my own existence, bureaucracy, it is a painfully difficult thing to fix. It just doesn't fix. And that's why that's why we have it. We have it there so that people have things to do, right? Because some people need to make money and they need something to do. And some of these people have that job, unfortunately, and that is a sucky job. So,
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
people tell me to have compassion. Well, quite frankly, I don't feel sorry, not because I'm not, but because don't call me sorry. I'm not
Yeah.
calling you sorry. Don't call me sorry. I'm not sorry about anything. But what I do feel bad for is that a lot of these people, okay, granted, give them credit where credit's due. They come from less than privileged backgrounds, not all, some of them. Some come less than privileged backgrounds. They make very little money. They also, what I've learned in a secret little investigation that I needed to do after being treated very poorly myself, was that apparently they're given very little training on how to do the job. They basically show up for like a 3-day course or maybe a week-long course, and then they're just sent into the airport. Okay, now do it, go work, you know? So these are
Right.
people that almost can't really, I'm not saying they can't work, but I'm saying they are ill-equipped. They're
Yeah.
ill-equipped to be able
That's
to do
true.
it. So I have to have compassion for that. My other thing, and then we'll go back to you. My other thing is, yes, I have noticed a lot of people react in a very peculiar way, especially, no shocker, people in the medical field. What is it with
Yeah.
nurses? I'm not going to say what it was, but something happened in my life fairly recently. I can't say what it was, but I have noticed that nurses have a very, very poor perception of people with disabilities. And
I agree.
there is a reason for
Totally.
that. There is a reason for that. Do you want to know what the reason is?
Yes.
It's a very obvious reason. Do you know what it is?
Mm-mm. I don't.
They've done studies to show that when it's your job to see people who are suffering and are sick all the time, you think that everybody else has to be sick.
Yeah.
That's the
I see that.
psychological.
That
That's
is.
why. So that's why they think people can't do things, because they're used to helping people who can't do things. So it's weird. It's really weird, but that's why. And that's why nurses are the way they are, is they just can't help it.
Right.
I've had better experience with doctors, although, but I see very specific doctors, and most nurses are great, but every once in a while you'll get a nurse that will make a weird comment, and that I just have to ignore. Because
Right.
I understand, why it is. But the weird stuff, about kids, well, okay, luckily I don't have children, so I don't have to worry about that. But I would say that it's certainly not surprising to me that people question your ability to parent in public places, as offensive as that is. I mean, quite frankly, I know you guys are great parents, not questioning you, but also, have you seen all the crazy parents on YouTube in America?
Yeah.
There are
Right.
there's a lot of sighted people that can't parent to
Right.
save their life.
Hello.
So
Yes, that is
Hello.
so true.
it's wrong to ask and question you, but I have to admit that some of these sighted people, I wonder Okay, let's get sketchy here. I wonder how they hooked up with the person in the first place to make the
Right.
kids in the first place,
Yeah.
let alone parent. How did they
Right.
please? How did they get into that
Yeah.
position?
I didn't think you knew how to use the tool, but
Yeah,
we
yeah,
digress.
yeah. Some of these, well, no, not blind people. Some of these crazy sighted. There's some
That's what I'm talking about.
some of these sighted people are crazy too.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And I have found more kindness and more acceptance in France, my country that I love, being a French speaker. But I've traveled all over the world, guys, and what I've seen is the same thing in America. It's just different. Blind people are treated just as poorly in other countries. In fact, they're treated even worse.
In worse, yeah, I've heard that.
Far worse, far worse. Soon, tomorrow, or later today, I don't know, but soon we'll connect over on my private WhatsApp group and you'll get to meet some of these people who have been on the show. You'll get to meet a man from South Africa who has contributed an enormous amount of time to helping us to build out our message. And he will tell you what it's like to be blind in growing up in South Africa. And that is a completely different concept.
Right.
So what I'm saying about these issues is that both of you are so right. You both brought amazing issues. And my issue is that I think people need to learn to speak up appropriately more. And I think that podcasting is an incredible source for that.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So that's
I
my theory. And I think you wanted to interject there earlier. Go right ahead.
I just
Absolutely.
want to speak on the Uber thing. So,
Sure. Go right ahead.
I totally agree. I get that, it's their car, but to me, I don't think it's the drivers. I think if we put accountability on the corporation in itself, like Uber and Lyft, they should be the ones. These drivers may not be educated and have the knowledge on how to deal or want them in their car, want a guide dog in their car. But Uber has the power to say, if you want to work as a Uber driver, you will, number one, have to take this how many ever training course on how to deal with diverse populations. Number one, you will also have to agree to accept guide dogs, which is the law. Regardless, if you do not want a guide dog in your car, that's totally okay, but you cannot work for our company, Uber. And I think if we place some larger accountability on the people that are hiring these, because if I wanted to hire that driver and go by his rules, then I could do that. But what is Uber for? What, just the central location to be able to get all the rides? No, they're more. You are a business and you still, as a corporation, Uber and Lyft and whoever other ride shares, well, maybe not like paratransit and government stuff, but I'm just saying Ubers and Lyft. If as a corporation, you want business from us as consumers, you should do what you need to do to make sure that your employees are equipped with the training to be able to deal with diverse populations, to be able to follow the laws and all of that. So I get the drivers have rights, and it's okay if you don't want a guide dog in your car. Then guess what? You just need to go and find another company to work for.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's just what I wanted to say about that.
Sure. No. Yeah. And I guess the problem is you're also correct. And I guess the problem is, well, ultimately they feel that they can't control the driver because they aren't in the car with the driver. The problem is you're right, but I also view it as a from a business perspective, I don't know how they can ultimately control it. I mean, apart from deactivating the account, but then the Uber company loses money. Then they lose money on some sighted person that doesn't have a dog. You're correct, but I don't understand what I don't understand. And I'm telling you the truth. I don't understand this. I don't understand. I guess what I'm trying to express is you're right on the end. And at the same time, I don't know what the solution is. Because it seems like it's very difficult. If this was easy, this wouldn't be an ongoing problem.
Mm-hmm. And as you say that, Aaron, I sit here and think about this. Uber as a corporation, because most corporations are money hungry and they only think about money. Right. So what are we going to do? We're going to miss out on 20 passengers for this one passenger that has a problem with the guide dog.
And
So
that has been
yeah,
told to us
yeah.
as much.
So
When we have brought this experience with them, there's like, well, we apologize for the experience that
yeah,
you
here's
went
your $5
with and
credit.
such, and here's your $5 and boom. And it was a major situation where the driver got out, spoke, saw the dog and was like, oh, damn, I'm not taking y'all. Like simply just that rude. And once that was reported, all the, headquarters could tell us was, we're
Yeah,
sorry about the bad experience that you have just dealt with, and such, and $5 to keep on moving.
yeah, because
It's
they're
like what
not
you're
going to
saying.
miss out. They're not
They're
going to
not
miss
about to
out.
lose out on any other money for that. No.
Yeah, that's true. There's not enough of us, I guess, in numbers to justify them firing or terminating that driver where they can still make more money.
Right.
Yeah, it makes
Now with
sense.
all the rallies that have been going on, it will certainly
Yeah,
provide more pressure to them to
yeah,
talk about solutions. But I think it's a much more difficult problem to solve
yeah, yeah.
than we're actually, because you have the business side, you have the social side, the disability side, the
Mm,
technology side, the app side. It's a,
yeah.
that
So
is
many elements.
a beast of a problem to solve. And I don't know what the answer is
Yeah.
apart from rewarding good drivers more
Mm-hmm.
and and punishing bad drivers more. But
Yeah.
apart from creating a system where, well, if I do a good job, something good will happen. I wonder, I've never really asked them. I mean, I used Uber in the past, and the other thing that frustrated me that I noticed is I only had a couple bad experiences too. These bad experiences that people are having, they're happening often, but they are often the minority. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of good experiences too,
I've had
and
many.
Yes, that's true.
it's also very
Mm-hmm.
disheartening for the drivers that are willing to follow, and then they have to put up with these other people who won't follow. So that's a very complex
Yes.
dynamic too. So
Yeah, I
my
wonder.
theory is reward the good drivers more.
Yeah, I wonder, guys, so you know how you get those drivers? Because I mean, I know some of them. There's advocacy, and then there's just you're getting on my nerves. Like, I will have your job. I will make sure you get fired. You know, those people, right? Now, what do you think? I mean, I doubt that driver is going to get fired, but even if, they did tell us that they got fired, is there somebody that's going to follow up to make sure that that person got fired? I mean, there's no like follow,
Right.
like
We're going to
they
call
can
in and
tell us
check it.
anything. Yes, exactly. So even
Yeah.
though those threats are made, I think these drivers are pretty comfortable and confident in the fact that they know that Uber's not going to fire them. That's another thing.
Yeah.
That seems to be, although I don't know that to be true though. I mean, I don't know that
I
Uber
don't
doesn't.
either.
I don't know
It's just a
that
good
they don't.
opinion to say.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's the point. I don't know.
Joseph, we don't. But Joseph, we just said we don't know that though.
Hmm.
I don't know factually if people do or don't get fired. I don't know what that rate is. So
Yep.
that's another dynamic of it.
And that's
You
what
know,
I'm
for
wondering. Who
for all
follows
Right.
we
through on
know,
that?
I mean, who know? God only knows. Who knows? They could be firing people left and right, and
Right.
they
We're
didn't
not
tell
know.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
we'll never know. I mean, I would say that's the same thing goes for our paratransit as well. We have so many issues dealing with that, with just the attitudes and whatnot.
Hmm.
But yet
They
they
still
do
have them.
have major turnarounds, but we still see these same drivers,
Yeah, that's
same,
true.
same
Yeah.
issues, So it's like, are they getting fired or are they getting slapped on the wrist? Are we
Yeah.
just not seeing them or, this the whole type of effects like that. So totally
Absolutely.
agree.
What are some fun
Yes.
stuff? So I think we really
Yeah.
had a
Beat
meal
that
there with
horse. Yeah.
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
not at all. No, thank you to both of you for opening that and for
Yes.
having that Discord there.
Oh, yes.
That Discord there. Yeah. So what are some fun stuff though? Because you guys, I can tell that you guys love to have a great time on your show and you guys tell silly stories. What are some like upbeat or silly or really, really entertaining things that you guys like to do on your show? Maybe some silly, do you ever do like a silly story segment where someone sends in a silly story or some other stuff? Or what's been some funny stuff that you like to talk about that you just couldn't stop laughing and stuff like that? What do you think as it relates
Well,
to you?
I like to see myself as the real goofy one of our team. And so we really get to talking about embarrassing stories from, our personal experiences. And
Those are
it's
so funny.
and just the way we describe and the things that we experience, especially like for myself, just dealing with different beat ball experiences and Experiences of just meeting another person and something happened then. It's just a lot of things have always happened with me because I'm always doing a lot. So just discussing those embarrassing stories has always been so fun. We always find ourselves laughing at each other when we, just doing these stories.
I love those ones though, Aaron, because what we do, it's like we, it's so relatable. We get so many, comments and emails when we share just our bloopers, things that we do in our day to day life, our mess ups and our stuff that we're like, oh my gosh, I had such a blind moment, and when we share that and we get so much like, oh my gosh, I was laughing so hard. That same thing happened to me. And so, we like to put those relatable because we have to laugh at ourselves. We have to be able to laugh at
Yes,
ourselves because not everything now, if somebody, I mean, I did fall down like 15 stairs and stuff. And I mean, I could have really hurt myself, but that in that moment, that was not funny. But, afterwards, everything's okay. There's a lot of little things that happen to us that we need to be able to share. And we get a lot of those on all of I mean, we travel a lot. So
yeah,
just different things and that happen. And we like to share those experiences with them. And, traveling, I mean, I like to karaoke a lot and Aaron, I'm telling you, we can't see the
karaoke
words on
queen
the
over there.
screen. And so we don't see the words on the screen. So we don't know the songs and so, but it's fun. It's about having fun. And I think that's one of the things that helps me to, be more of a positive person is having, putting more fun in my life and activities and trying fun things, different things that are fun that I probably would not try. I bungee jumped, roller skated. There's just so many things that we should do to have fun. And if we fall, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So
Definitely
I
okay.
think yeah. So I think that
And
we
I'm
like to share those experiences.
and I like to say, laughter is definitely needed for healing. If you're not able
Hmm.
to laugh at your moments, then you're just going to be too whelmed up, and you're not going to get past them. So you have to look back at it and just look at the likeness of it. It's like, okay, hey, this happened. Oh my goodness, you laugh at it, and you move on. It doesn't like end you or makes it your be all.
Right.
It's just a moment. And that's, I feel laughing at it and just understanding helps, you grow from it and develop more. And just laughter is just I just feel like everyone needs it. So just being able to talk, about yourself in such a life form. And, there's especially other thing like, Sayyida was saying, she's done bungee jumping. I'm more involved into a lot of sports and I do a lot of hiking and hunting and fishing. So I've had my different experiences with that and fun. So it's just all about what wanting to do and wanting to do is just making it happen.
Cool. Where have you hiked, man?
I've hiked a lot here in Texas, in the Angelita County, out in our country, like East Texas and like Jasper. I'm a Texas man all day long.
Wild and wonderful.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Texas is an amazing place. Yeah. I have an elderly relative who lives out there somewhere. I've actually never been to the place. Well, actually, I've flown through DFW
Hmm.
one time. But outside of that, never explored Texas, but it's a wonderful. I've heard it's an absolutely amazing place to live. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
What are some of your dreams as far as hiking? Are you going to do the AT or, how serious are you taking this hiking?
It's on my bucket list to get out to one of these national parks and just kind of see how my skills have really developed since I've hiked with my blindness. I've done a lot of it with sighted friends and my family, but to I've always wanted to kind of go with a couple of ones that has the partial and a few of my TB buddies that my totally blind. Let's just go out there into one of these big parks and let's just see.
Oh
Let's
my
just see
God,
how
that
we do it.
sounds so
Oh, it's
crazy.
so magnificent. Like to conquer that and just to be around in that nature and man, we're just out there and we're just making it happen.
Yeah,
Such beautiful, such fun.
get attacked by
And
mosquitoes.
to
Go
get to
ahead.
go and get to go hunt some because I'm coming for it. Let me
Oh
find
yeah,
it.
that too. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you know about hunt? I've never asked this one. I've never thought of this. So how does hunting work when you're blind? That's super fun.
Orange vest, bright orange vest. I normally, I get set down into as what I call my spotting spot. And I have a lot of, whisper, information to me because we have to, the sounds and everything. So a lot of mine is whisper. And then, once I'm comfortable enough, the way I've have done it with my family, I have my heel tapped. Once my heel is tapped, I've lined up and I squeeze and I pull. That's how
It's like
I,
signals, like signs. You have like
yeah,
silent
that's how
signals.
I have,
Hmm.
modified my way of hunting. That could
That is
be
really
good
interesting. I've never,
professional ways of doing it,
so
but that's how
good,
I
so
have
good.
done
So
it.
what
Yeah.
was your biggest prize that you ever brought down?
A little baby deer.
Oh,
Oh,
just a
It
poor
was,
baby.
dear. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Poor
Just a
dear.
baby.
well, I wasn't trying to hit the baby, but he got hit. Sorry. I was, it just
Well,
happened.
well, you're supposed to go. You weren't supposed to get the baby. You're supposed to go for the buck.
I was
Right.
trying to get the buck, but hey, I
Something
guess,
about that blind aim, because if you got the
my
smaller one,
eyesight,
I
Now,
guess
there's
I
that
was
not
looking out my
blindness
left
can't be
eye.
blindness is not
Nah, it
what do
was
they
more,
always what do they always say? Blindness should not be the characteristic that holds us back when we're
exactly.
hunting. Yeah.
No, it's not
So
at all. It was
still wait.
hand
So why
position.
didn't so
It
so
was
what so
just
what's
hand
your problem?
position.
Why didn't you know to shoot the buck? That's ridiculous.
I felt like at that time it was my hand position, and I rushed it. I rushed my squeeze
So
instead
so
of just
see,
taking my
so there
time.
you go. You got to learn the sport, right? So don't rush
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
Don't shoot the
right.
fawn.
nah,
Yeah.
don't rush at all.
No.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
what a
so
good
true.
hunter, that's what hunting is about. It's about patience, right? That's a
Yeah.
good
Yes,
life lesson, right?
Yeah.
yes,
That's
indeed,
a lot
yes,
of fun.
indeed.
Boy, I would love to go hunting with you. That would be amazing. That would
Mm-hmm.
be a lot of fun. That would be very, very, very fascinating. But also too, hunting or not, just being in a park, walking, just being out with nature, just being in the peace of it all, but with a fire and just sitting out, that's also so, so nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Really, really, really good. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, that's some pretty interesting stuff. So what about you, Saida? What's been like the funniest story that you've ever heard over these years, or the most interesting story you've heard over the years?
Um, yeah, I think the stories that I've heard are just, when you actually try to pinpoint, I mean, these stories go through my head all the time. And then when I'm asked the question as to what's the funniest story, I'm like, huh? And nothing comes up to mind. Right. So I'm like, but, so to me, I think there's, the funniest, well, you know, the funniest thing for me anyway, as seeing, is when there was about 10, 15 of us blind people. And we actually went to a nightclub, okay, a dance party club. And I am just looking, and I know we must have looked a hot mess. We got 10 blind people tapping with canes, getting off of a big old metro bus, going into a nightclub. And it was almost like every eye was on us. And it was just, when in that moment, it was just so funny to see and be and witness other people watching this group of blind people coming off and then getting on the dance floor dancing. I just, that always comes to mind because that is something that I would never have imagined doing, as a blind person. I'm not, would never just go and walk into a club or a nightclub, a bar by myself, but there's something about having numbers is that when there's multiple blind people, no matter what you're doing, it's funny. It may be embarrassing, but it's okay because there's a lot of us. So that is one of the things that I just think it's funny is like all the stuff that I would never do by myself, but I'm okay doing with a whole bunch of blind people. It's just, and so that's just, I think that's just funny as far as, just how our minds work. And so yeah, I just thought that was, something funny that I've experienced and just the different dynamics of how we are as blind people as the sighted people see us.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Sounds like you guys have some fun with door prizes on your show. So how does that work? And what are some of the fun door prizes you guys have given out over the years?
Well, so far, Aaron, we've only given away cash door prizes. Cash, cash, cash. We've given away $25 door prizes, $50 door prizes, and even $100 door prizes. So we just, it's cash. That's the easiest thing. Most people have some form of Zelle, Cash App, PayPal, all of that stuff. It's easy, it's quick, and you get your prize right away. So, it's just cash. And I think that, us giving back, I think we really started this past year. And I know most of our listeners know, but last year, Aaron, we had a house fire
Ooh
and,
la la.
and our whole house burned down and we lost
Oh,
everything in the blink of an
whoa.
eye.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was something.
And so with that, and it's so crazy because this is when I felt, and we both, and I'm not speaking for Joseph, but I know he feels the same way. We felt our community, this blind and visually impaired community, supported us in ways that we never thought was possible. I mean, we got so much support from this community, so much, even more so than from our own family members. You know, so when we seen how much this community, loved us and wanted to support us through our tragedy, of course, in that moment, we were just overwhelmed. I think it even brought me to tears at one point. We got donations. I mean, I know people that gave us, they had, $50 and gave us 25 of it. And I just, that was just so appreciated. And so because of that is when we decided, what better way to show our appreciation to our community than, we were in a very bad place at that time. And if it was not for our community, we don't know what we would have done in this was something basic as toiletries. I mean, we lost everything. And so, this way of giving back these door prizes and the cash is, I guess, showing our appreciation for what our community has done for us. And we want to continue to be a blessing to our community. We had a time when we would never have thought we would be in need. But we were, and not that our community is in need, but we never know who this $25, this $50, this $100. We never know who that can help, who is down to their last dime, or who just might want to go and have a little extra to spend. So this was kind of our way of giving back to our community that has just been there for us in so many ways.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Well,
the whole feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely talk off air. I have a couple questions and a couple, maybe I might or I might not, I can't tell. And I can't tell on the air, but I might or I might not have I can't tell if I have an idea or not. So
it's brewing. It's brewing, Aaron. It's brewing.
I might, but I have to be polite and careful about how I ask off the air. So I'm going to send you, I'm going to give you a clue. You guys should keep an eye out on your messenger, Facebook Messenger. Keep an eye out for a group message between me, us, and Christina. There's several things I need to tell you off air. All good, by the way. Nobody's in trouble. It's nothing bad. It's all
awesome.
It's all good stuff. But
yes, great. Yes, please.
So yeah, that's I think if it was never for our great buddy in the community, the great Jessica Dale, if it was never for her telling me, hey, do you listen to Blind Table Talk? They're doing great stuff. I would have never known. And that's one of the other biggest obstacles is just simply not only producing high quality content, but helping people to find to helping
Right.
people to find the information.
Yes.
And we're swimming in a sea of information,
Absolutely.
a complete maelstrom, a complete
Hmm.
behemoth of
Yes.
information. So definitely share this episode out. And we'll definitely
Absolutely.
be working together. I have several questions, several ideas in my mind. We're gonna make
Yes.
this great, just as every other great episode.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
And
indeed.
Aaron, I gotta do a shout out to Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
Hi,
Thank you so
Jessica. Yes,
much.
indeed.
So
Appreciate the
do you, now
support.
have you guys now are you guys friends with her on Facebook? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do
Do
not, and
not.
that's why even
That's
more the
why I
shout
wanted to
out to
speak and just
Okay.
wanted to
Jessica.
say thank you.
Yes,
Well,
thank
let
you.
me tell you one sentence. You know what? She's a very nice lady. That's all you need to know. She's a very nice lady who's
Awesome.
blind.
Yes,
She's
yes.
American. She loves amateur radio, and she's a great friend, and that's all you should know. She's
Well,
just a great person.
good. Yes, I
So
believe
apparently,
it.
she knows who you are. Whether
Yes,
you know
thank
who she
you
is,
for your
that's yeah.
support, Jessica. We appreciate
Yes,
that.
real talk.
All right.
Definitely.
So I'm
Yes.
sure too, as we slowly but surely walk to the end of a beautiful conversation at the table, I'm 100% sure that both of you want to ask me one question to really make me sweat to see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster. What do each of you want to know about me, Joseph? Go.
You're
That
He
shy?
spotlighted
You're that
me.
shy for
He
a
spotlighted
host?
me.
You're awfully shy.
Oh man.
Here, wait, pause. Here, it's a trick. Sayyida, go.
Okay. All right. I would like to know, Aaron,
Sure.
since we were just talking about embarrassing moments,
Mm-hmm.
what is your most embarrassing moment?
Okay, I'll tell you. This is interesting, and this is why you should travel the world. I was with an organization. We were over in Germany, and we were all sitting around having beer and having coffee. We were talking about the various jobs that we do, and I was telling this one German guy, oh, I'm a teacher. I wasn't a talk show host then, so I didn't have the podcast then,
Hmm.
so I couldn't say I didn't have the podcaster excuse, but I said, but I still was a teacher. So I said, yeah, I'm teaching. My guide dog's really old. She's at the end of her life, so I'm going to go home and just kind of take care of her. And I understand this was right when pandemic started. This was like 2019. This was kind of right when the world started to kind of get all cuckoo
Often, yeah.
banana. So yeah, so we're on a cruise ship. We're just talking, having our coffee, and German people stereotypically tend to be more stoic about things.
Hmm.
So then I made the mistake. It wasn't really a mistake, but so then I say, so what about you, sir? What do you do? And he says, I'm a massage therapist and blah blah blah. And I asked her how'd you get into that and things like that. And he told me, oh, I went to the school in Germany, learned the trade, and it's a lot of fun. It's good, and I work for several different medical clinics, and they go around in Germany from hospital to hospital, helping people to recover. And I said, yeah, in the States, okay, get ready, brace for the laugh. I said, in the States, yeah, a lot of blind people work as a massage therapist or even a masseuse, I said. And I said, yeah, in America, we say that you would be a masseuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the problem with that is, right?
What?
Yeah,
Pause.
masseuse.
Pause. Pause.
Happy.
He said, "Yeah, Joseph, you're there. Your brain is going where it goes." He says, "I will tell you something, and I want you to listen." He said, in this German way, this stoic German way. I'm a massage therapist in Germany. And by the way, the next time you meet a blind person who says that they're a massage therapist in Germany, I know you don't speak German, he says, but don't ever call me a prostitute again. Whoops. Put the beer in your mouth, swallow some beer.
Oh, wow. So that,
Yeah.
so that's what a
apparently,
masseuse means.
apparently, masseuse in the Deutsch language is the literal translation for street whore, for prostitute. So
Yeah.
definitely don't say the word masseuse if you're
That
in
is
Western
funny.
Europe or Germany.
Yeah.
Luckily, he ignored me and he kind of brushed off. But that's an interesting one. When you travel, you're going to have a lot of silly
Mhm.
a lot of silly experiences, especially when in my French language, when you speak other languages and learn other languages, you're going to stumble like that. But that's a
Yeah.
good example of being
Right.
open-minded and being accepting of flaws and realizing that, people don't understand the world the same way and things like that. So,
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
so yeah. So,
Yes.
okay.
Well,
All right.
thank
Joseph,
you.
Joseph, go.
All righty. Tell us what has been your most memorable experience with the traveling.
I mean, I've been chased by an elephant before in Africa. That
Oh,
Oh
was,
that
gosh,
wins for
that
me.
wins.
so that wins
Aaron,
in that,
what?
in that way, that wins a nature experience. Yeah.
No, that's
Mhm.
wins a lot of experiences.
You
Yeah.
What?
chased
Mhm.
by a
Please
elephant?
tell that
I need
story.
details. Like it sounds like you're trying to go to another story.
Yeah.
We want to know about this chase by the elephant, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So we were on an organized tour in a country called Eswatini. And
Mm.
they took us out one evening, one magical evening. They took us
Mhm.
out on a private safari in the savannah at night, basically. I'm not going to lie. This was amazing. So like we were sitting
Mhm.
back. I had my beer. We had our snacks. It was like, some like really good vacation. So,
Yeah.
so you
Mhm.
get out there and then we saw lions off in the distance, giraffe, all these things that I saw all up close, just in the wild, like no cages, just being real wild
Oh
animals.
my gosh,
Beautiful.
Wow.
scary.
They're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. And then
Yes.
we hear a crackle over the radio and the tour guide, the guys get all excited and they start driving kind of quickly. And somebody asks, where are we driving to? Somebody just saw elephants. So it was at sunset and there were these um, there was a herd of elephants and there was a young adolescent female elephant, a young teenage girl elephant, and she was eating her plants. And she was standing about, I mean, it's hard to tell because elephants are so beautiful and so massive and so sweet. And they truly, when you see an elephant just being an elephant in the wild, just peacefully roaming our planet, eating the trees and just being sweet and loving, they truly are. Except for the fact that she thought, because she was just a little girl elephant, not an adult, and the adults hadn't taught her this. She hadn't learned about the behavior. She hadn't learned about the manners that you have to have when you see tourists. So she didn't know any better. We figured it out. Our Jeep was, in other words, let's say that there's a straight line, and 12 o'clock from you is her family of her buddy elephants. And she's kind of in between us, and then we're kind of in between her and the other elephants. She misunderstood, and she thought that we were going to block her from getting back to her older, superior elephants.
Mm.
So she kind of walks out in the middle of the road. The driver knew what was going to happen. She walks out in the middle of the road, turns to us, and she was beautiful. She already had her tusks. She starts
Mm.
flapping her ears. Engine
Wow.
comes on. Driver says, I'm putting it in reverse. He floors it in reverse. The elephant instantly charges, roars.
Oh
We
my
got all the sound.
goodness.
Wow.
We got all the sound effects. She trumpeted. The earth shook.
Oh my
She
goodness.
flew at us.
Amazing.
It was truly beautiful. It was the sweetest. So she chased us for about 3 minutes and then she eventually
Wow.
gave up and then realized, just
Yeah.
misunderstanding. They really weren't going to bother me. But no, I still remember how happy we were and how exciting it was to get to hear her trumpeting and to see her trunk flailing around and her
I
beautiful
bet.
tusks and her big
Magnificent.
eyes. And yeah,
Wow.
they are truly special creatures. That was by far the most exciting thing. But there's other experiences too, like great meals in France or interesting conversations in England or interesting people that I've ran into in Poland or other places, the Caribbean where I volunteered. I mean, I've been all over the world, really. I mean, but those are some of the experiences, as we say, life is meant to be lived. Life is meant for living.
There
Absolutely.
we
And
That's
go.
really,
Aaron,
yeah.
Aaron, I do want to tell you one thing though about your elephant story. I love it so much too. And I actually collect elephants because they bring good luck.
She
And
does.
I love elephants. I think they're just so beautiful and so cute. So,
You
that
have a
was a
little
cool.
collection of the toy ones? Yeah.
Yes. Or like,
Yes.
ceramic ones. I have,
Well,
I even have
the real
metal
ones,
ones.
the ones I've seen were a lot more realistic. realistic. You know,
Yeah, no, I
it's
bet they
different when they're
were. I'm
chasing
not
you
going
in
to
real
collect
life.
that. Yeah, no, because that was probably the longest
Look,
3 minutes of my life. It would have been that 3 minutes that
Funny thing
you
is,
got chased.
it seems long, but then you get to see it up close. You get to see her face,
Right.
and you know,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah. So,
interesting.
yes. So,
They're very, very. They're also very hard to see too. They blend into the. You wouldn't notice them necessarily. They are
mm,
big, but
yeah.
they aren't noticeable. It's
Yeah.
very ironic,
wow.
actually. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that is.
Had
So,
tons of experiences with that, and but most of these experiences we have now are just by coming together as a community and having these beautiful conversations on Aaron's opinion or on your podcast.
yes.
So of course, so by the way, if people want to get in touch with Blind Table Talk, let's wrap up today. How do they get in touch?
All righty. Well, we welcome all correspondence via email, info@blindtabletalk.com. You can also WhatsApp us. The number is 832-668-8225. Also, website, Joseph?
Yes, indeed. You can visit our website at blindtabletalk.com. We have our events page up where you can find out other events that is going on around the community. It might be something next to you. So please feel free to visit our page, and you can also go directly to our link to listen to our most recent podcasts on there as well.
All
Yes.
right. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I want to take this time to personally say thank you, although she didn't join us. I don't know what she's so afraid of. Thank you, Christina, for helping me to get connected. And thank
Yes.
you to both. Most, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
Aaron.
for joining
Thank you.
both. Thank you to both of you for joining us. And you guys are forever welcome. As I said, keep your ears open for a Facebook ping, a Facebook message. And we should definitely, by the way, I'm on WhatsApp too. So just come on over to my WhatsApp, as I said. So yeah, we got to kind of get caught up with the tech. I got to have you send me a WhatsApp.
Yes.
That would make everything would be so much smoother but then again, once I'll send you a WhatsApp link and then you can join me through that too. So then
Yes.
Yes,
anyway,
Awesome.
indeed. Yes,
all right.
indeed.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Once again, we really appreciate you, my man.
Thank you.
Forever
Thank
welcome.
you.
So do either one of you know how we end an episode?
No.
That is fine. We say, thank you for joining us. We'll be back soon and have a great day. Help one person today. Help 1 million people tomorrow.